Hi, several people asked me in the comment sections to analyze this particular video. Parts of this comes from a channel called Conspiracy. I do want to preface this by saying that this is not the kind of video that I enjoy doing. I don't say the things that I'm going to say in this video very lightly. There are some very obvious signs of substance abuse in this very video that I unfortunately do have to point out, and it is in front of a child, and I don't say that very lightly. I'm going to say this is all alleged based on my observations and cannot be taken as a guarantee, but unfortunately a lot of you know exactly what you're seeing. As a body language analyst, I unfortunately cannot tell you that it's something different because of certain clusters of behavior that I will also be pointing out. And it's also pretty obvious there are indications that this is not new behavior, that this has been done pretty frequently over time, and it's very comfortable behavior. So let's get into it.
Because that's literally all that he ever talks about in his live, so I don't think he's ever done one single live where he doesn't reference me or Gypsy. Okay, let's go ahead and address this NDA thing, because I've been seeing a lot about this NDA. I never signed any NDA. I don't know where anybody gets this from. Y'all pull things out of your on the daily.
Apparently Christy had said it on a live, and she didn't know.
Well, she doesn't know what she's talking about because there has been no NDA that's been signed between me and Gypsy. So
first off, the tonality is very defensive, saying that I never signed any NDA. Christy doesn't know what she's talking about. Christy is Gypsy Rose's stepmother. If you didn't know, this guy in particular is Ken Urker, her current boyfriend, and his baseline behavior in this video is very erratic, very unpredictable, and very different than what we would normally see. But he's baring his teeth, but it's not an aggression. There's no lip raising in disgust or contempt. It seems to be more in almost glee, inappropriate glee for the situation. His palpable fissures are wide, his pupils are a little bit dilated, and this is the first cluster of behaviors I pay attention to in this, as he's sniffling, and the comments are very much pointing out that he is allegedly on a substance, on an illegal substance, and then the baby cries in the background, and it becomes apparent that this is all being done around this baby. So in this situation, I try to rule out what else it could be. Could it be stress? Could it be allergies? The frequency of the sniffles, without the watering of the eyes, without the coughing and the things that frequently come along with allergies, rules out that it could be allergies. The intensity of the sniffling rules out that it could be literally anything else, and that we're not seeing behaviors that point to anything other than that substance. There does not seem to be any dust mites in the air. Gypsy herself does not sound as if she is sneezing in the background, nor is the baby. And someone's going to ask me in the comments section, why would he so blatantly do something so dangerous on a live stream in front of the whole world and in front of his child? Why would I even allege this? Well, this is the reason that I have ruled out, based on other behaviors, what else it could be, and that I typically do that it could be anything else, and it's just not. But I will say allegedly because of what I'm allowed on this platform and what's legal, and because this is such a serious situation. When it comes to these behaviors, from a behavior analysis standpoint, he would do something this obvious in front of cameras, in front of everybody, for a few reasons. Either there's a priority hierarchy where the substance takes priority over literally anything else. His child, Gypsy's reputation, anything else. And it's also pretty bizarre that she is not bothered by this behavior. She's not weirded out by it. She's not confused. She's not clarifying, by the way, guys, he has allergies or anything else, which would not be honest, but she's also just not trying to clear that up. She does, however, try to clear up what Christy has said and saying that it's not honest, that Christy didn't know what she was talking about. She does try to clear up her reputation there, but nothing in regards to Ken's behaviors here. This indicates that this behavior is not new, that they're pretty comfortable with it. She doesn't seem alarmed. She's not telling him, hey, do that away from the child. This is something that's pretty frequent and can thus be just habitual. This is just what they do, and so they've forgotten that they are on a live stream. It could be this feeling of invincibility. Gypsy Rose is now off of parole, and there's nothing left to hold them accountable. Not that parole was necessarily holding them accountable in the first place, but that's neither here nor there. Just from a behavior standpoint, it could be that feeling of invincibility that they've got away with so much, so they're going to continue to do so. And unfortunately, that does seem to be the case. And that could also be why he would so blatantly do such a thing on a live stream in front of his child, where there's the possibility of it being reported. I want to note that he does have glabella furrowing there. There's muscles between the eyebrows and forehead creasing and eyebrow raising around. He didn't sign any NDA, but his wording's real particular. It's not, I did not sign an NDA. I didn't sign any NDA. That could mean I didn't sign just any NDA. I didn't sign any NDA that would keep me from this behavior. So the wording there was a little bit distancing, but it's not so alarming that I would say that it is deceptive, though he does turn away. There's that aversion there. Now again, his behavior is pretty erratic in this video, so to me that doesn't necessarily mean anything in this context, because that aversion there doesn't entirely mean anything given the situation where he is very obviously on a substance, allegedly, but he's very obviously on a substance, and so that can definitely modify how I would analyze his behaviors in regards to him discussing this NDA. Would not take it seriously, anything he says, because it's apparent that he is not fully present and behaving in very conscious ways. And that's further confirmed by the tiny head movements, often done subconsciously. They're less controlled, whereas larger movements would take more effort and would be more controlled. So that just further confirms to me that nothing he says in this particular video can be taken seriously, because he's not fully consciously in control of his behaviors.
And you have to rock it to sleep.
I don't really care about the emails, because the emails were written years and years and years ago from somebody in a heightened emotional state, so I really don't care. Oh, I'm lying about the NDA? Why would I lie about that? There's no NDA. I mean, that's my point, is that you guys, a lot of the haters just believe anything and everything that they read. You know, I got like several DMs about like me having the stroller out on the beach where Aurora wasn't with us, that we were just like...
We have to also further look at the fact that he is willing to discuss this situation about the emails, Gypsy's prison emails that were recently released that show a lot of really disturbing and uncomfortable things, especially in regards to Ken himself and Ryan, her former husband. So his willingness to talk about this in front of this child, even though it's just an infant that probably doesn't understand what's going on, is pretty telling of what's going to happen in the future, what they're going to be comfortable discussing in front of the child in the future. But that being said, non-verbally, we see him touch his chin. Again, his behavior is pretty erratic in this video, so it can't be taken too seriously, but there are definitely indications of some levels of stress and discomfort here and there that appear around these emails around Gypsy, who then will later on in this video discuss how she's allegedly sorry she hurt anybody with what she did, and the thinning of his mouth and the chin touching are indications that he's actually not comfortable at all with the prison emails being released, which makes sense because they were very alarming, very disturbing emails. But I want to point out in particular that this couple is discussing this sort of thing in front of the baby, things that could stress them out in front of this child, and we see the continued sniffling. I do very much believe that some of Ken's discomfort here is around the comments asking him if he's on a substance of some sort, because it's pretty apparent. He is, of course, vaping as well, but the sniffling is very much not about vaping, of course. So I'm going to again say allegedly, but that is very much what we're seeing behavior-wise. Clusters of behavior that indicate this. The erratic behavior, the dilated pupils, and I don't take a lot of his indications of discomfort very seriously in this, even though it would make sense for him to be uncomfortable, and he can very much be uncomfortable about the emails. His behavior is also just erratic and not very conscious.
In person, and about how he wants to fight me and this and that. Okay, Ryan, if that's really true, then I challenge you to a boxing match. You and me, one-on-one, anywhere you want, any venue you choose. Okay, we can live stream it, we can record it, whatever you want. But I challenge you to a boxing match. How about that? Let's do it. You know, you can get all your anger out on me, all the things you hate about me. Let's do it. But I bet you won't accept it. And I really hope that you do, because that would be pretty entertaining. I think that most people would love to see that. You and me, one-on-one in a boxing match. That'd be content, dude. Let's do it.
So we see the eyebrow raising and forehead creasing where we would expect to see it, but again, I'm not going to put too much weight on that in particular in this video because of the apparent substances that he's on. Just noting that that is there at the appropriate times, but that there's obvious glee around challenging Ryan Anderson to a boxing match. Again, something that should not be done around an infant. This is not appropriate, even if the infant cannot tell what's going on. It just sets the stage for how this couple behaves around the child and what they're comfortable bringing out around this child and what they've got away with. So this is a habitual thing and going to continue to be a habitual thing, unfortunately. And that's the most alarming part of this. Non-verbally, we see eyebrow flashes and forehead creasing, emphasizing this would be great, this would be content. There's significance around it being content. Tin and Ryan both very much seem to love the spotlight that they get being associated with Gypsy Rose. And we're very much seeing that here. But again, I'm not going to put a whole lot of weight on that because a lot of his behaviors are not conscious in this situation, in this context. I'm going to end this here. If you've watched this far, I'm sorry this has been so short, but thank you for watching. Please hit the like button, please subscribe, and thank you for watching.